So today, if you look at the figures, growth last year, in 2024, December, was 4.5%. This was, mind you, from a negative growth rate 3 years ago to a positive growth rate of 4.5% within 3 years. We are expecting 5% growth next year. International reserves have increased significantly. We are now in a position to be able to finance approximately 3.5 months to 4 months of imports. I mentioned 3 years ago we couldn't even honor our creditors, let alone finance imports. So there's been a drastic shift for the better in Sri Lanka. Inflation is negative in Sri Lanka today, from a high point of 80%. 3 years ago, today is negative 2%. We believe that we'll be able to manage inflation throughout the year, and the Central Bank of Sri Lanka expects inflation to be about 2% at the end of this financial year, which is 31st of December 2025. There's a lot of interest that is now being shown about Sri Lanka as a result of this remarkable recovery. In fact, the IMF is using Sri Lanka as an example of a country that has shown commitment, both politically as well as facilitating the private sector in Sri Lanka to be a part of growth. In fact, identifying the private sector as a main engine of growth in Sri Lanka, despite change of government. So there has been continuity of economic policy and commitment to the reforms that were needed to put Sri Lanka on a much sounder footing than what we were 3 years ago. When you ask to describe as what happened, they take the shortcut and they say economic mismanagement. It was not only economic mismanagement. It was years and years of family bandism, years and years of nepotism, years and years of corruption without any checks and balances. And there was no responsible governance and economic management as a result of these parochial agendas that were played out at the expense of the people of Sri Lanka. And naturally, we arrived at a point where people had enough, and they took the streets and they said, we want to change, the system change. So now we have a government that has been very comfortably elected and given a mandate to move towards a systems change in Sri Lanka. And this is the attractiveness of Sri Lanka. The platform that this government was voted on was a strong anti-corruption platform. The people demanded this from them, and they gave them that mandate, and now they are in the process of discharging that mandate.